Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Carrot Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2015 movie Far From the Madding Crowd. Now, Far From the Madding Crowd is a romantic drama that runs for an hour and 55 minutes long. It is directed by Danish-born Thomas Vinterberg. It is produced by Andrew MacDonald and Alan Reich. The script was done by David Nichols, based on an 1874 novel by Thomas Hardy. The score was done by Craig Armstrong, the cinematography by Charlotte Bruce Christensen, and it was edited by Claire Simpson. And the stars of the movie are Carrie Mulligan, Matthias Schoenaerts, Michael Sheen, Tom Sturridge, Juno Temple, and Jessica Barden. Though, in her own words, she has become accustomed to being on her own and refraining from succumbing to marital bliss, Bathsheba Everdeen, played by Carrie Mulligan, has been able to successfully live off her inherited land on her own without a husband and no intentions of ever looking for one. Her reason, simply put, by refusing to be another man's prize, and that her comfort zone is clearly on independence and liberation. Thomas Hardy's Far From the Madding Crowd tells the romantic story of a self-sufficient young lady from 1870 England named Bathsheba Everdeen, and how, even though her love for freedom and independence of marriage, she still seems to have suitors attractive to her and want to win her heart actually, in hope for marriage. And the three suitors are the loyal and introverted shepherd named Gabriel Oak, played by Matthias Schoenaerts, a rich landowner named William Boldwood, played by Michael Sheen, and finally the energetic Sergeant Francis Troy, played by Tom Sturridge. Gabriel has on numerous occasions saved Bathsheba over the course of time, but will he be undermined? But will he be undermined due to his humble demeanor? William sees her riches as an opportunity to win her heart, but will his obsessive ways could also be his downfall? And finally, we have Sergeant Troy, whose uniform can swoon any lady's hearts, and shows an endless amount of passion towards our heroine. But can his charisma break the tough inner shell that Bathsheba possesses? You see, at one time, Gabriel Oak once was a landowner himself. But then when his estate caught on fire, he was penniless, he was broke, and then he had nowhere else to turn but to ask for Bathsheba if she could hire him as a shepherd, which she gladly accepted. As for William Boldwood, well, one time she sent him a Valentine's Day card, and he thought that this Valentine's card that was given to him was of pure sincerity, only to realize that the Valentine card was like all Valentine's cards that are given to you, completely superficial. And as for Sergeant Francis Troy, he seemed to have somewhat impressed her with his impressive sword wielding skills. And I guess somehow she thought that was impressive. But of course, Sergeant Troy also holds a deep dark secret. You see, at one time he was ready to marry somebody by the name of Fanny Robin, played by Juno Temple. and he was anxiously awaiting for her to come to the church. The only problem was she never showed up. So he was led with the assumption that she stood him up, which of course eventually becomes a misnomer because she never did stood him up. She accidentally went to the wrong church. So his marriage to Bathsheba turns out to be nothing more than just a full-blown obsession. This was actually the fourth novel that Thomas Hardy wrote back in 1874, and it actually originally debuted as a magazine series, which explains why this movie is plot driven and can have similar if not more artistic integrity to modern day soap operas. It would later be adapted as a ballet piece, an operatic retelling, and later a stage play adaptation. It has been adapted to the movie screen 4 times during its time. One going back to over 100 years ago in 1915, and then there was the 1967 John Schlesinger adaptation, which starred Julie Christie as Bathsheba Everdeen and Terence Stamp as, I believe, he was Gabriel Oak. And then there was a 1998 made-for-TV adaptation. I never saw that one, but I believe it was on BBC Canada one time, so I never really got a chance to see that one. And not too long ago, the one that I'm talking about. Hardy situated his characters in the fictitious village of Wessex, when really the setting was located in Dorset, which is located in Devon County. The settings was absolutely picturesque. The green hillsides located aside from the woods, and the meadows along with the crest of the cliffs right above the ocean. The other technical features that make this adaptation special include the beautiful musical score, along with the gorgeous costumes and the likely touch for romance floating in the air. It's safe to say that the cinematography was just as equally provocative as the performances by the cast. Such great metaphors this movie has includes the scene where Bathsheba was perched backwards on her horse as she's getting nearer towards the lower branches. It represents truly that she's living the good life of freedom and has very little interest in anything that's conventional. Her strength of being independent is put to the test during her incursion as a landowner at the farmers' trading market. With only her and another female ally played by Jessica Barden, she was able to hold on her own as she gains the respect from a club which at the time was predominantly male. So, what was the weakness to this movie? If there was a weakness in the story, is more further explanation should have been delved into the characters. Why are these three gentlemen so smitten by this self-sufficient, independent woman? I mean, she's just out to astonish them. Does she live up to her motives? Even though she's independent, she's still lovely, and her wills are still quite strong. Her quest for independence is never fully explained in the story, except that we're probably led to believe that, she came from humble beginnings. Her aunt and uncle died and she just inherited the land, and it just probably never came as a thought. That's practically what I'm led to believe. The three suitors themselves are truly well defined, and their love for her is quite planted as the only thing that truly matters to them. Does anything else matter to them? Not really. It's like the only thing they're kind of fixated about. So that kind of lack of development was a bit lagging in this movie. Why does Boldwood's smitten love for her shifts in a full-blown obsession? Why does another suitor's passion plummets to cruelty? The plot turns seem to happen so abruptly with no reason or backstory behind it. Hardy's motives are that the characters have fate flowing through their psyche of his characters. It succeeds here as one misfortune became the downfall of one of the characters. I think, well, actually, I think it comes from two of the three characters. Francis Troy fakes his death. He comes back. He becomes like aggressive towards Bathsheba to almost the point where it almost looks like he's abusive towards her. Then we have Mr. Boldwood. He shoots Sergeant Troy, which of course results in him being imprisoned. And then Mr. Oak shifts off, tells her that he's going off to America to seek better opportunity. And then all of a sudden her independence takes a turn in an opposite direction and kind of practically begs him to stay. And then they just ride off into the sunset. Will Bathsheba Everdeen and Gabriel Oak marry? I guess you'll just have to read Thomas Hardy's novel to actually find out. But it's just used, but the terms of the characters is just practically used as a catalyst to get back towards the reunion of the woman that was and will be his true love. I mean, I'm talking about Sergeant Troy here. Fate in Hardy's novels spells curtains to his characters, but here it shows that at least some characters are bound to find some sort of happiness. Aside from rounding out the supporting characters, Juno Temple truly shines as a runaway maid. Fanny Robin and Jessica Barden is equally impressive as Liddy, Bathsheba's maid, who practically sticks by her when she's needed most. Under the direction of Thomas Vinterberg and the penmanship of David Nichols, they collaborated to make a whimsical romantic period piece film with a touch of feminism while refraining from shifting into anything that spells misandry. There is no male bashing in this movie, so don't push the panic button And don't bow down ashamed that you're a guy, because there's no male bashing in this movie. It may have that old fashioned style romance, but it succeeds in remaining appealing. Sure, it's a bit upsetting that the deleted scenes were omitted from the movie. They truly pieced together the scenes to make it tighter than it really should be, and maybe it even has a better explanation as to how these scenes and how these events come together. The features behind the film symbolize the landscapes and the moods behind this adaptation. Personally, this movie didn't score well at the box office, which is a shame because there's a lot of good things going for it. It's never too late to rent this or purchase this lovely romantic drama. If I was to give this a scale out of 10, to me, it deserves a 9. So I guess this ends my writer review. Thank you all for listening in. If you'd like to leave a comment, please feel free to do so. If you like to subscribe to my channel, so be it. Just remember, be kind, be courteous, don't be rude, and I will be back again with another review. So until next time, this is Eric Curot Writer saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.